In this episode, we're talking about which movie props we'd like to own in real life. Then, we're debating the merits of parental controls and whether or not it's okay to use them on adults. Stay tuned for our verdicts. What you are listening to is real. The parties involved are not cool. They are actual geeks with a case pending in the court of public opinion. The party's case has been dismissed, and the dispute will be settled here on our podcast. There will be no lawyers. There will be no witness testimony. The judge's decisions are final.
Hello, I'm Judge Ivan.
I'm Judge Jonathan, and this is Geeks on Trial. Today's case, Parental Control Freak.
Welcome to Geeks on Trial. This is the podcast where we settle petty disputes between actual geeks over movies, video games, board games, and more. If you'd like to submit your own geeky case for a future episode, you can email us at geeksontrial@gmail.com. You can also support the show over at patreon.com/geeksontrial for just a few bucks a month, and you'll gain early access to both our audio and our video episodes before they're released to the general public.
Hey, Ivan.
Hey, Jonathan.
I wasn't prepared for you to start the show.
I know.
I thought you were going to stop because it was a joke, but then I was like, I guess we'll just roll with it.
We're just going.
Now we're here.
Mixing things up a bit, just like we are on today's episode with today's topic.
Oh!
What? We have props on this show, and I always give you props for coming to the show and being good. But are there movie props that you wish you owned in your daily life?
Movie props that I wish I owned in my daily life. So in my daily life makes it sound like it's something I'm going to be using on a day-to-day basis.
It's going to be right next to your bed. You're going to wake up every morning, just like I use this gavel, and just use it and point with things. And but are you that kind of person? Like, are you a collecting kind of guy? I know we talked in the past episode about board games and DVDs and stuff like that and comics. But are you like do you seek out things from a film, or you just like the film themselves?
Yeah, I mean, those things are usually very expensive.
Right.
So I like in a hypothetical world, I'd love to play around and dream about movie props that I would love to own. But, they don't make too many of those things.
Right.
And usually the ones you want to own are also probably from older movies, and they're probably, maybe they don't exist anymore, or they're in disrepair.
Well, let's say
behind glass.
In a world where you can own anything, and money was no object, and you could just walk into the Smithsonian and just take what you wanted. I mean, I do that already. I have the Hope Diamonds. It's in my sock drawer.
Archie's chair and Bill Nye's jacket.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I have too many answers to this question is the problem.
Well, give them to me.
So, I feel like there's some obvious ones.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm sure we might meet up on, too. There's a few things that we might.
Probably, and maybe there's some that you'll say that I didn't think of. But
that's how we do things, yep.
Pretty much anything from Star Wars is something, like a lightsaber is the obvious answer. A lightsaber, Luke's lightsaber or whatever.
Now, would you care to own the replica, or you would want the original where his greasy little hands touched it?
Well, I have the one from Disney World, which is pretty awesome.
Do you? I never knew you owned one.
You didn't?
No, I didn't. To be 100% honest with you. I'm
sure I told you that
I'm sure you did, but
I'm pointing with my thumb like you can see. It's over there.
Huh.
Which is not it's like I, made my own with parts. It's not like a replica of Luke's or anything.
Right.
Which you can get at Disney World. But I think those are good enough. They're pretty good looking if that's what all you want. But the idea of a movie replica to me, if I wanted to have a real movie prop,
right, I want to on-screen
I want to have the
used, thing. Right. Like that potentially, for me, I want Indiana Jones's whip from, any of the movies really, because I'm sure it's a different whip for every movie. I don't know how that works.
Sure, they had a handful of them.
But I want the one that was in his hand, he was using on screen, or even the hat, just so you can take it and wear it and just have his skin flakes on you.
Yeah, I mean, if Harrison Ford didn't actually wear it, then it's much harder for me to get off.
Right, it's true, and you want to get off. That's the implication.
And I use the whip for autoerotic asphyxiation.
Right. Well, you whip yourself?
And the hat is the receptacle.
Mm.
I would go for the hat probably over the whip, but you kind of want both. They're kind of a package deal.
And I would use them in my everyday life. I would wear them.
So is that? Do you think that's your like number one, or is that just kind of what came to your mind?
I don't know if I necessarily. Like, of course, I think I don't know if I have like a number one because like for me, like I don't have a number one film or like a franchise. Like a lot of my movies don't really have props. Like I love Silence of the Lambs. I don't know if I want anything from that movie.
What about like The Mask?
That would be cool.
Hannibal Lecter's
I do
mask.
have. So remember COVID? I don't know if you remember
the lotion.
COVID.
What about the lotion in the basket?
I want the well. Can I have the well, please?
Yeah.
But I had a COVID mask that was the mask from Silence of the Lambs. It was printed on there.
Oh, really? That's funny. What about the fake semen that they throw in her hair?
That wasn't fake. They went to a real mental institution or hospital. I don't know what that was, but yeah.
Yeah, but I can just list 100 of them if you want.
The other one for me, because it would be practical, I guess, and impractical because it never worked, would be the DeLorean.
Well,
the tricked out DeLorean, because like I don't know if I would ever drive it because I would be scared to, but like how big of a flex would that be? Like, hey, you guys want to come over for game night? Open the garage door, lights shoot out of it. Look what I got.
I mean, I would love to just own a DeLorean, period. Like,
right.
It's enough for me. That would be a prop enough for me. If I were super rich, a DeLorean would be very high on the list of what I populate my mansion with. Because
even like the one not from the movie, it's iconic because of the movie.
Yeah, at least to us, you know, for our generation. I feel like that's almost, for the purposes of this exercise, I almost feel like we should limit it to something that can fit in your house. Like, a car is almost too, or in your room.
Yeah.
Like, a car is too, it's almost like cheating. It's too good.
And also, I guess something that, like, because we're going very mainstream, but like, is there anything, like, from, like a weird, like an off-the-wall movie, like something from, like, Magnolia, or, like, something from, like, for me, I would want, like, the wooden mask from The Mask.
All right, I love this because, so first of all, to try to think of things, I looked at my own flick chart list.
Okay.
And my number one movie is Magnolia.
I know.
And I was like, there really is not a prop in that movie.
No, there's not. Like, what would you, like, the
frog?
The Sharpie that he used to write, like,
I don't know, like a piece of wardrobe or something.
Right.
Like, there's nothing like super iconic in that sense. And then I did also think, I'm like, The Mask, I did think of, you're thinking the wooden mask, that it probably is classier. I was thinking like the green rubber mask that they kind of have in a scene or two. Maybe they don't actually, like, or like the actual, did he actually?
It might have just been green paint.
Yeah, I don't think he actually wears a mask, but I think there's like one scene where maybe there's a transition where he kind of has a green rubber mask.
Would there be anything from like a classic film? Like for me,
film,
like I like one of my old like favorite Hitchcock movies is like Rope. Is one of my like maybe The Rope from Rope.
The Knife from Psycho.
The Knife from Psycho. The Bates Motel, just the whole motel.
Maybe along those lines, I was thinking the typewriter from The Shining.
Ooh, that would be cool. I'm sure. And like, I wonder.
Or the axe.
We were the door that he smashed through. Just have that somewhere. As I mentioned before, my partner Danny is a big Star Trek fan, and when we went to Washington D.C., we saw the screen used spaceship. What's the first one called?
The Enterprise?
Yeah, right. The Enterprise. I'm going to get divorced. The Enterprise from the original show.
You're sleeping on the couch tonight, boy.
Is in the museum. And we were wondering, like, how many props from this show, because that show is full of props, or even like you mentioned Star Wars. Everything on that set could potentially be a prop. How many of those things do you think were just chucked, like thrown out right after?
Yeah, probably a lot of them.
Because, like, there's such iconic things. Like, if you look in the background, like, even think about Seinfeld. Stuff like that bicycle that hung there. That shit got thrown out the day after they filmed.
It was probably a different bicycle every season. I'm
right.
sure yeah. Or some of that, maybe the Superman was just Jerry's Superman he brought in or something.
That could be, right. But, like, there's so much stuff that's thrown away that I was like, I wish it's like, the iconic stuff, like the slippers from Wizard of Oz. Those are in the museum. I mean, because there's like 4 or 5 pairs of them. But like, anything else that you can think of that you would want like on your shelf?
Here's a handful. I'll give you a few options I thought of. Sunglasses from the Blues Brothers.
Ooh.
Groucho's cigar, one of his cigars, or a pair of glasses or something. Sometimes he wore glasses. I'm just thinking of the rubber mask that you wear.
Oh,
A sword from Kill Bill.
ooh.
A mask from Planet of the Apes.
That would be creepy.
Sick. I mean, this one's another. Feels like goes without saying. Proton pack from the Ghostbusters.
I was just thinking, I'm like, what from
just thought of
Ghostbusters could you have? But yeah.
Yeah, proton pack or the trap. Just the trap
Yep.
would be awesome. I think there must be something from Roger Rabbit, but a lot of it's just cartoons. So I'm not sure if there is a real.
Oh
prop.
yeah, because like even like the real prop stuff is more like set stuff. Like it's like boxes and like, yeah, it's all Christopher Lloyd's trench coat, like something, I don't know.
Yeah, the stapler from Office Space.
I do in my storage unit. I have a replica of that came with like the DVD box set or something.
I mean, can't you just? Those were just a real stapler you could buy.
Well, that's
right?
the thing. It's like, I guess you could just buy the red swingline stapler and be like, oh yeah, it's from the movie.
Yeah. Okay, I have more. The Jurassic Park, you could do like the little mosquito in amber.
Oh, just the glass of water.
A glass of water. My favorite Jurassic Park prop.
Which you can also be from Signs as well.
Right. Oh yeah, it works for a lot of different movies. Alien, maybe an egg.
There you go.
A gross alien egg.
They have that at, I think they also have that in the Smithsonian from one of the Alien movies.
I could see that. I
could.
think there were a few of those eggs.
You
I
could
go
right now.
see it.
Yeah.
Something I was thinking of Nightmare Before Christmas, but any stop motion movie, like a model from a stop motion movie,
That would be cool.
pretty cool. The cricket bat from Shaun of the Dead.
I'm thinking the masks they used in Beetlejuice. The big pointed face masks. That would be cool.
Or,
Actually,
yeah,
anything from that movie.
Tim Burton movies. Early Tim Burton's gonna have some good stuff in it. A shrunken head from the guy from
would be cool.
Beetlejuice,
Yep.
or yeah, there's different things. This one I liked. How about this? Just everything that Steve Martin picks up on his way out of the house in The Jerk.
All I need is actually, well, for me, I want the oil cans that they got shot at. Somebody's shooting at these oil cans, or whatever the line was. I don't know.
Yeah. So there's a million. I mean,
well, and the thing that triggers this a lot for me is like it's Halloween season now, even though summer's not over. So I walked in recently to Spirit Halloween, and this year their big theme is Mars Attacks, because every year they do like a movie thing. It might be an anniversary of the movie or the comic books, I don't know, or the cards.
Okay, I'm like, where'd that come from?
And Beetlejuice. So they actually do have the rubber masks of Beetlejuice. I forgot the two characters. Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin played.
Yeah.
I don't remember their names, but they have those masks. And Mars
No one
Attacks,
remembers
they
their
have
names.
like the weird guns and stuff they used for that. But that'd be
Cool.
another interesting movie, which, side note, we were talking about Mars Attacks the other day, I guess, after being at Spirit Halloween. I looked up that movie. It's supposed to be a direct parody of Independence Day.
I don't think that's true.
That's what they were saying.
I could have sworn Independence Day came out later.
Did it?
I don't know. I could be. Maybe I'm wrong.
Let me
We're
look.
gonna have to look this up.
Gonna have to look this up.
While you're
So-
looking, actually, yeah,
go.
go ahead. Well, I have another correction I got to make, but maybe I'll save it till the end.
Oh, so 96 was Mars Attacks. And
I thought Independence Day was maybe
Ugh.
96 also, or maybe 95. Maybe it did come out earlier.
96. Huh.
So then that's not a parody.
Not
of
a parody at
Independence Day. Yeah, if they came out at the same time.
Well,
it's
I
a
don't
parody
do...
of 50s sci-fi movies.
Well, because that was my thing, because I didn't do any fact-checking. That was my thing, is like, Independence Day, like, they're just basic movie subplots. Like, it's just, alien comes to Earth, Earth blows up. Like, that's...
I bet that in the marketing, the Mars Attacks trailers, maybe they did some parodies of Independence Day.
Okay, because around the same time to kind of like...
Like how, when Star Wars came out, Austin Powers did like Star Wars parodies for their trailers.
That's a thing?
It was a thing, yeah.
Oh, that's another... Austin Powers' teeth.
All right.
From, I guess, the original movie.
Now here's also, I just got it real quick. Last week we mentioned Sweet Caroline, and I said it was sung by Neil. I said Neil Young. It's Neil Diamond. I got my Neils crossed.
And
But
I just
was
went,
still
oh,
closer to being right because you thought it was Jimmy Buffett.
right.
But I know people would get mad about that, and I got mad about it, so I just wanted to correct myself.
There's another Jimmy Buffett song that I thought was sung by Jimmy Buffett, and it's the iconic Cheeseburger in Paradise, I think. He doesn't sing that?
What? No, he definitely sings that. There's no... That's the only... If Jimmy Buffett sang one song, it's Cheeseburger in Paradise. What Pandora station are you listening to? It's like Jimmy Buffett's greatest hits. It's every song but his songs. And you're like, man, you ever heard that Jimmy Buffett song, Slim Shady?
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant the Pina Colada song.
Yeah, no, he didn't sing that.
He didn't sing that. I always thought it was him because it's very much his vibe.
Yeah, that's about, a little bit. I could see it. Let's get off this subject. Let's move into today's case, which I promise has only real things in it. No replications of props of any kind.
Oh, no, but I am going to tell lies the entire time.
As will I.
Yep.
By the way, at some point when we end this show, these gavels will be on sale, and these gowns as well, for an exorbitant price.
Right. Oh, but they will go to the Smithsonian first.
Of course. We give them a 30-day window where you can come and see it, and then millions. They're worth millions.
Right, millions, because I will not wash mine.
I don't even know how.
Oh.
Today's case comes to us from the internet. You can find a link in the episode description. Our defendant today is Howard, a father of 2 kids. Howard's in-laws are staying over for the week, and he doesn't quite get along with them that well. You know how it is with the in-laws.
Oh, I do.
And during this stay, both the mother and father-in-law have been spending their evenings in the living room, playing music, watching YouTube, on the TV, using the in-home speaker system at loud volumes. And Howard, he has to complain because this is waking up his 2 kids whose bedtime is a strict 8:30 bedtime. But the in-laws say that's not fair because the father-in-law doesn't get off work until late, and he needs to have his leisure time in the evenings with some very loud TV. This, of course, leads Howard to a rational decision. He decides if they're not going to agree to compromise in any way, I'm going to install parental controls on this television and set it so that you cannot use it after 8:30 at night. In-laws not too happy about this. They demand to be given the password, but Howard isn't relenting. As dual judges here on Geeks on Trial, it's now our job to determine whether Howard has gone mad with power or if the TV just shouldn't be watched at such an unreasonable hour.
That was a stretch.
I don't think it was a stretch.
I don't think it was a stretch.
No, there were a lot of filler words before the next rhyme.
Right. Which stretched it out.
Sure, but the rhymes were solid. The rhymes were in place.
That's next week's episode.
So we're talking about Howard, and we're talking about parental controls used against your parental units, your in-laws.
Right.
Traditionally, they're used for kids.
Oh. Huh. Now, did you ever have a TV growing up
Nope.
that had parental controls on it?
It's a great question. I wonder if, all the Zoomers who watch our show, we are big with the younger crowd.
Huge with the teens.
Zoomers, I don't know. They're maybe not Zoomers, but I bet Gen Alpha. There's a Gen coming up soon who won't know what parental controls are because people don't even have cable anymore.
And she will be greatly disappointed when she goes onto the TV and is blocked. See, Gen is a person's name.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's also short for generation.
I don't know if I would have got that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, poor Jen. R.I.P. Jen. I mean, now parental control is also, I guess now streaming services you have like maybe a kid's, maybe they have some kind of parental controls, and video game consoles now do, and the internet of course does. Well,
that is my question because, sure, growing up we had, we didn't have it because I was the one who took care of the technology in my house. But there was AOL had the blockers where you couldn't go to certain websites, you couldn't go to naughty things, you couldn't go to porn, whatever.
Oh. Naughty things or porn.
Naughty things or porn. Those are 2 different things. But now with cell phones being a thing.
You're gonna put my eye out with that gavel.
Is it like, because like you could just turn off the Wi-Fi and get onto the 5G and bypass that, I think. Like, I don't know how, because I don't have children. I don't set my own services.
If you're a parent and everyone in your household's on a cell phone plan, and I'm sure there are systems where you can put controls onto their phone remotely.
Because probably just for specific phones.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you can also make it so they can't access the phone at night. I'm sure you can do stuff like that. But to answer your question from 14 minutes ago, when growing up, I'm trying to remember, honestly, if my parents put parental controls on the TV. I know it was a thing.
Right.
And I think they maybe did, because I remember playing around with the cable box and, like, playing around with the password stuff. But I don't know if I was trying to crack the code of it.
Right.
Or if I just thought it was fun to play with.
Well, we didn't have technology when we were younger, so actually, and the technology was new at that time. I forgot what they called it. It was like the V chip,
right?
Was what they called it, and that was like new. So we're like, oh, what are these things that are in our cable box that have computers on them?
I don't know if we actually had the V chip or if it was adopted at that point into other cable box technologies, but I think I might have just put my own parental codes on channels just to be funny or to annoy my sister or something.
Right.
Like, only I can watch this channel. I just remember having fun playing around with the passwords.
But yeah, I don't remember. Like, I don't think any of our websites were really blocked. But like our computer when I was a kid, up until like maybe I was 10 or 12, was like the family computer. So like it was in the. Sorry, I just triggered my my Alexa. So like our family PC was in the living room or like the home office or like, so like my parents actually paid attention to what we were doing and like checked our search history and like were around to like be like, hey, don't search that. What are you doing, you weirdo? But I also wasn't the kind of person at a young age that was like porn seeking.
Well, I feel like we maybe grew up in kind of the sweet spot, at least for most families, where the technology was still new enough that enough parents didn't quite understand it, so maybe they didn't quite have a grasp of the parental controls,
right.
And as kids, we maybe knew more than them, and we could just tell them, yeah, it's fine.
Right. Or like can you set up the profile for the parental control? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we know how to get around. Like, just you go into Windows and you log in as them instead of you, or
right?
Whatever.
Because you set up their password and they forgot that,
right?
Or their password was written down on a Post-it note under their keyboard.
Because I definitely TV, I'm not sure about. Definitely, my parents never put any restrictions on the computer. But also, like you said, the computer was until I don't know what age. I was a teenager when I got a computer in my room.
Right.
Maybe I was 15 or something, 16. But for a long time, it was just downstairs in the corner.
Well, yeah, because it was also back in the day when that family computer cost a lot of money.
Yeah, you used to have a computer room. It was called that.
The computer room, yeah. But like we were like my parents, like used to come over to my house to watch like South Park. I remember back in the day. You.
Yeah, I think we maybe talked about this on...
Because, like, I was the last born... Like, I'm the baby of the family, so, like, they just didn't... They're like, whatever. But I also, like, I didn't... Like I was saying before, I didn't seek out stuff. Like, yeah, sure, I would watch South Park, but, like, I wouldn't wake up the next morning randomly cursing in school after watching the South Park.
Yeah, my parents... My mom would get... There were things she didn't want me to watch.
Right.
But she didn't know how or didn't care enough to institute actual technological blocks.
Right, because she also, both our parents are fairly liberal in speaking. They don't want to block you from, like, things. I said fairly.
Yeah.
Like, they're not
the definition of liberal has shifted these days, but yeah.
But they're not like, the book burning, oh, don't read that book. It's bad, that kind of thing. So, like, we weren't really, but times were technically different. Like, we didn't have... all the dating apps, the Snapchats, the social media of any kind, We were on dial-up, so getting any kind of risque material just took a long time.
Yeah, you had to, if you really wanted to look at some nudity, you were like, let me set this for tomorrow.
Right, and you probably had to print it out to save it. That was,
I mean, if you were using Kazaa, you probably got some porn whether you wanted it or not.
Oh, let me download this Kids Bop album. Oh, that's just porn.
I was looking for a Metallica song. Why is it even a video file? I guess that is Metallica in the background. Okay.
Yeah, so there you go.
Fair enough. Now,
But-
this case... no.
Go ahead.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
You sure?
All right.
Well, I was going to move off the subject of...
Yes, me too. Me too. So
Oh, you too?
yeah,
This is a little awkward.
yeah, it is.
This case, I was going to say, is not about content.
Right.
Howard doesn't care if his father and mother-in-law are blasting
Porn?
slut whores 17.
Huh. That's a different number than I would have gone with, but you're classier than me.
It kind of, there's a lull, but then once it's 17, I think they get their second wind.
Oh, okay.
Some of the ones in the middle aren't as good as the
Aren't as
early
good.
entries.
No.
He's fine with that as long as they keep it at a reasonable volume, as Milton would say from Office Space, bringing it back. But this is about a certain time at night and a certain volume level. Was there any in your home? Has there ever been any kind of a time limit or a curfew, specifically in regards to TV, where they're like, don't watch TV at a certain hour, or you're supposed to go to bed? I guess it could apply to anything: reading books, playing video games. You got to go to sleep.
Michael, I was going to ask you the same question. Like, did you have a bedtime?
Yeah, I don't know. At least from conscious, I'm sure when I was a little kid, I had a bedtime.
I think up until middle school, like maybe like what's middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, give or take.
For us, yeah.
So I remember my bedtime being like 8 o'clock for the longest time, or 8:30 for the longest time. Then middle school, I remember it being like maybe 9 o'clock because I remember like, oh, I could watch, some of the must-see TV on NBC this year, And then high school, that basically all went out the window. They're like, can you please go to bed so you can wake up at some reasonable hour and go to school at 6 a.m.? But yeah, I would say like my bedtime was like between 8 and 10 between like, those years. And they would want the TV to be off, quiet time, go to bed. Well, I got my TV in my room maybe when I was like 10 or 12. So like, I guess at that point they didn't really, as long as I didn't wake them up, they didn't care. Because I'm a person who needs to have TV on to sleep. And I guess that started at an early age.
Yeah, maybe we can trace this history.
Probably. Let's write that down. But yeah, I don't really think like they cared as long as I didn't wake them up. And usually like I wouldn't be watching stuff blasting, or like if I had my computer, they just bought me headphones.
It's a solution. It's a way to do it.
But
I feel like my bedtime was maybe 10 up until like high school. I remember 10 o'clock. I feel like at least on Sunday nights, I remember staying up and watching X-Files would come on at 9.
Right. Oh, I think weekends was kind of different.
Weekends maybe maybe during the week it was 9 or something.
And like during the summer, I think it went out the window because I remember watching like Nick at Night and stuff like that. But
sure, isn't it sad how much of our lives we remember according to our TV schedules growing up?
Yeah.
It's great. But yeah, I had the headphones too. I definitely distinctly remember though staying up late to watch either Conan, which came on at 12:30, and or Adult Swim, or there was a period of time when Comedy Central would show stuff like Jiminy Glick and That's My Bush at like 11 and midnight. The good years. Everyone remembers those fondly. And I definitely remember headphones and my TV. And this is at a time when also remember, early 2000s or whatever. The headphones were not what they are now.
No,
this was a cord I had that was maybe 10 inches long.
Right.
So for me to watch something on my TV with a headphone, the jack is in the front. I'm sitting there like 6 inches from the screen.
Right.
and if I jerk my head too fast by accident, I could easily yank that out.
Oh yeah, and it would be loud. And these headphones, I think I know the headphones you're talking about. They had like the metal wire that was like flimsy across the top, and they kind of like roughly pressed against you. They came free with like your MP or your Walkman.
Yeah, those are no good. No good. So I would get in trouble sometimes if I was found out late at night that I was watching TV and I was supposed to be asleep. I had to sneak it. At least again up until like high school. Then like you said, it's like, I mean, don't wake us up, but also whatever.
Right, like you should be asleep. Like go to sleep.
You should be asleep, but I wasn't gonna do it.
And there was like a few times too. Like I remember being over at your house or whatever, or you were over at my house, and our parents being like, "Listen, it's 10 o'clock at night. You're sleeping over. You're being loud. Go to bed." And we're like, "Yeah." Turn it down 2 clicks, and they're like, "We can still hear it." And this is before text messaging was a major thing, so they had to actually come to your door and turn it down.
I do feel almost bad now because I'm like, man, thinking back, it must have sucked to have if we would have game nights and sometimes like 4 or 5 people would stay over in the basement, and it's like you could hear that,
yeah,
upstairs.
Oh, 100%. And we were stupid.
Oh boy, that must have been fun. But still, in spite of all this, no, they never took it to we're gonna force you to. The TV turns off at 8.
Because I think they tried to, and I was like, yeah, okay, like. But I was also like, I was fairly respectable. Now, going into this case, these are grown adults. These are fully grown people that the defendant or whatever brought in. Adam, what was his name? Howard the Duck. Brought into his home willingly. By him and his wife had this discussion. They said, hey, come stay with us for a while. We have a bedroom and a house. Come stay with us while you're getting back on your feet or whatever's going on, and use our home.
Supposedly, I believe they were having construction done or something. That's the reason for their visit.
So it wasn't like they've been living there forever. It's like, they're going to be here for like maybe a month or so. Not the best thing in the world, especially inviting anyone into your house for a long period of time. You get some problems. But having this, these people coming into this. It's not like this job that the father-in-law has, is brand new. He's had this job, I'm assuming, for a while, where he comes home at 11 p.m. or whatever time, and he wants to unwind with some TV. So if you're giving them a bedroom, why don't you put a TV in their bedroom?
Well, it sounds like that might not solve the problem. I don't know. It's hard to say because they definitely are watching things, according to Howard, loud. But he does say they're using the home speaker system. So maybe that's louder than a TV in the bedroom would be. I don't know the layout of this house.
Right. It could be like a surround sound system. It could be like, a Google setup, something. But I know for us, like, we live with my in-laws currently, and we try not to go crazy loud, or like if we'll I'll have Danny stand in the hallway and like, can you hear the TV? Because we have boundaries, we respect it, but like, what was the time? 8:30?
8:30. That's when the kids go to bed.
That's a little early. Do the parents not watch TV?
I guess
the people who own the children. Those parents, not the other parents. We have 2 sets of parents in this story.
That's true. Well, we're talking about parents and grandparents. Let's call them the grandparents.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, do you ever have? Is there ever any conflict there for you in real life? You ever have in-law conflict? Or
not really. There have been a few times, like during the week, they'll be like, because there's one bathroom upstairs, and it's attached to their bedroom, but there's 2 doors. They call it a Jack and Jill door.
That's the worst. I don't like those.
No. But sometimes, so they're like, hey, because we stay up later than they do, because I don't work, I do this. So like, I'll go downstairs to use the bathroom. That's the only request. To not wake them up, fine. But other than that, like, we haven't really had issues. Maybe once or twice, it was like when we had the subwoofer. They'd be like, hey, can you turn that down? And it's usually only like, shows like The Office that have an intro that are very loud, but the rest of the show's quiet.
That's always fun.
But I'm self-aware about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in an apartment building,
right.
And so sometimes I worry about volume of things. And I think what I've determined is that bedroom where I am currently,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's either more closer to other people's apartments or the walls or ceilings are thinner here for some reason.
Which makes sense for a bedroom.
Yeah, I guess. Does it?
No, I was being facetious.
Okay, sure. I was like, does he know something I don't about bedroom design?
No.
I don't know. So
I mean, yes.
I have tried to. I will try like after 11 p.m. or even 10 p.m. usually. I'm probably not going to be in here making too much noise if I can help it.
Right.
Just because I'm like paranoid about that. But I will watch stuff in my living room on the TV, not loud.
But like a normal volume.
But sometimes I do worry a little bit. I'll have something on the TV that's, all of a sudden there's a scene with a bunch of gunfire or something. Right. And I'll feel a little self-conscious, but I'm like, it doesn't seem to be too big of an issue. Right. I also do have a subwoofer in here, and I keep that at the lowest possible setting. Actually, I don't have it anymore. Yeah, it's not there anymore. I got new speakers. I don't have that anymore.
He just realized it today, folks, that he's subwooferless and...
I forgot. But that's, I think, the tricky thing about this case is from a subjective view, it's hard to say. We cannot say for sure, right. Are these grandparents crossing the volume line?
Right. Are they like, he's coming home after his job, walks into the living room and cranks his sound system to 11 and just blasting music and just going balls to the wall, playing Metallica and like, loud? Or is he like watching Law and Order at a respectable volume and the parents are like, that's too loud, you're going to wake the kids?
Well, I find it funny that he says they're watching YouTube specifically.
Right.
These people have got to be in their 60s. I'm like, what are they? I want to know what they're watching on YouTube.
Unless they're watching like YouTube TV, which is like a cable subscription.
Maybe that's what he means.
But, whatever. But like any kind of media that they're watching.
They're all about Mr. Beast.
His parents are beast heads. Is that what they call it? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, they call them beast heads.
They're into the bestiality. Wait a minute. That's a thing. Hold on. Maybe they watch our show, and if you do, crank it up.
Oh, that would be good.
Crank up our show. But I don't see. It's just so weird to me because, like, why put the block on it? Because, like, they have a cell phone. They can just watch it on their cell. Like,
sounds like they refuse to acquiesce. They just simply are committed to. They're like, we're going to watch the TV and we're going to keep the volume up. It sounds like, according to Howard, he tried to reason with them and they just wouldn't listen. And they don't get along very well. So maybe part of this is them kind of these two groups.
Right. Just like a, hey, screw you, buddy. I know best. I'm the father or grandfather.
Right.
It's an Everybody Loves Raymond episode.
It does seem like in a modern home, and I'm assuming, I don't know, I don't want my privilege to show or anything. But I'm assuming you have two kids. You have it sounds like a house,
right?
I think. Probably there's, if not another TV, at least a computer or the parents, like you said, have a phone or an iPad or something. There's like,
right.
Is this the only way to watch anything? And you said they're watching YouTube, so even more so, they probably can just get it on their phone. It's not like they're watching ESPN or something.
So I was also thinking about, because he mentioned it in the living room. Are they staying in the living room? Like, are they on a pull-out couch and the living room is their bedroom? Because in that case, then you kind of just have to, like, this is where you're letting them stay and this is where you're giving them the room. You might kind of have to just grin and bear it until they leave. Because it's not like this isn't a permanent thing. They're there for a set amount of time. And it doesn't sound like from this story that they said their kids are semi-heavy sleepers.
But which must imply that this is loud enough to wake them up, that it's too loud.
And then I also love, I don't know if we mentioned that, like, the father-in-law was like, oh, let's buy earplugs for the kids. Now, I do respect him for that, because it's like you're trying to come to a solution. There are talks on the table, and then the owner of the home said, you know what, I'm just going to block this stuff. Maybe before you jump to that solution, be like, hey, mom, dad, headphones? will give you headphones instead of trying to deafen my children with earplugs, which is dangerous.
That's a possible solution. I could see that backfiring, or not even backfiring, but they might not want to do that just because, if you're watching TV with someone, it's
you
maybe
want to chat.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Like, is it just we don't have certain information. Like, is it just the volume of the media that's affecting them, or are they talking loud too? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how. Like I said, it's 8:30 and the kids are asleep. Do they want the house drop a pin quiet? Or because I'm assuming the parents of the children are also consuming media somewhere, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think it was said that maybe their hours are weird and the wife also gets home late, so they might just not really watch stuff in the evenings. I don't know what they do.
Which is weird to me.
Yeah, well, we can't understand that because our entire lives are based around.
If I could right now, I would have a TV going during this podcast.
I have a picture-in-picture.
Oh,
I'm on. But just through this podcast, I'm on season 4 of The Wire, and I'm loving it.
Well, that's some old school technology. When's the last time you talked about picture-in-picture on a TV? That is a very its time thing.
Also, that's one of the worst. That's not a good invention. No. It's the only real use for it is if you're a sports watcher and you can see the score of one game in the corner, because there's nothing else you can't watch, because there's no sound on. You can't watch the other thing. You
have the news or the weather on one screen or something. Now, one thing that was ridiculous. Let me just it's another tangent about the picture-in-picture.
Sure.
My sister had one of those rear projection big screen TVs for a while, and they loved sports. At one point, you can have 6 different games going at once, and it would cycle through a different game's audio. That was the most ridiculous. Yeah, that face exactly.
Wait, that is you'd be watching one game and hearing another?
Right, because same thing with picture-in-picture. You would be watching the main screen, and then silently would be the second screen. So with this, there would be 4 or 5 games going, and it would just be hey, for 5 seconds, we're going to be showing the audio for game 1. Then we're going to switch to game 2, then 3, then 4. It was stupid.
Yeah, it sounds pretty stupid. I would like to have 6 TVs and just play them you're at a Buffalo Wild Wings.
That is my big pet peeve about going to Fridays, Applebee's and stuff. Having it being loud with music, I'm fine with. 5 different things at the same time, my brain doesn't know which one to filter out, and then there's a conversation. And anyway.
Yeah, well, I've started, since our audiobook discussion, I listened to 4 audiobooks at once. I've read so many books so fast lately. Do you stack them on top of each other and just start them all at once, or do you have different headphones, different speakers? Yeah, different speakers. I just play them around me.
That sounds expensive.
Or even just on my computer, I just have them all play at the same time out of the same speakers. Yeah,
so
there's a lot of ways to do it.
So we both lived in dorms before. Have you ever had the situation, or even in your apartment, have you ever had the issue of somebody knocking on your door and saying, hey, can you turn down your music, TV, radio, etc.?
Well, I did have one time in this apartment, it was maybe a year or 2 ago. And I think it was probably 4 years ago, because that's how I measure time.
Well, COVID was 1 year.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
That's true. Somebody came down. I think they moved out by now. Whoever my upstairs neighbor was did say once that at night, they could hear, I think when I was playing something on my computer monitor, to fall asleep, they asked me to turn it down.
And knowing
which is
you,
mortifying.
It's not very loud at all, because you're not that kind of person. You're asleep, you want it just kind of in the background.
That's what made me realize I think that the walls in here are just very thin.
Also, your upstairs neighbor? So that means
yes.
It had to, you have high ceilings. That's insane.
I'm pretty sure, but again, this was years ago. I don't remember the exact details. But that's the only time, and since then, I just stopped watching stuff in here. And I have nothing's... And I've never heard anyone else. So...
Right.
Or sometimes maybe I'll hear a cough or something from the distance.
Right.
So I've always assumed if I can't hear them, they probably can't hear me. Or...
Yeah, your apartment building is a pre-war built. It's an old building, And like I think it was built semi like better than like newer buildings. Where it's like I can't like
they used to.
I walk in your hallway and I would assume no one else lived there.
Yeah, you can hear stuff from the parking lot through my window though.
Well, that's a different story, but yeah.
Now in college, I never had other people complain, but like there were maybe issues with my roommates of one of us wants to go to bed, the other one's watching something, staying up late.
Oh,
There
yeah.
was a lot of putting headphones on and...
Well, I have that problem with my current roommate. Who was
But
my
you're
partner.
the problem.
Oh, I'm the problem. He was like, I'm like, oh, I can put on headphones. He's like, it's the flashing light of the TV. I'm like, I can't, sorry, deal with it.
Yeah, you get him a sleep mask.
Which is also really bad because like, he's the one that gets up and goes to a job and I don't.
Yeah, that's his problem.
So, that's it. So he just covers his head up with a blanket. It's fine. It's good. We have a fine, healthy relationship. But yeah, in college, I think because my college dorm was brand new and the walls were very thin because I guess it was cheaply made. Only one time was I watching something on TV and I heard somebody like pound on my wall. And I'm like, so I pounded back because I was that kind of jerk. Because I'm like, if you can't just come over, and I kind of knew my neighbors, like, roughly, just knock on my door or, like, send me an email. Like, hey, turn down the radio.
Yeah. Unless that's like, I don't think you pound until phase 5 when they do it, like, every night, and you've already talked to them about it.
Right. That's when you get the broom and you hit the ceiling, and, yeah.
The thane furrows.
But it's just rare that, like, I've ever had any issues with that. Like, so we live in a regular neighborhood here in our area, and we've had issues where we've called the cops on neighbors before because it was like 1 o'clock in the morning and they had their music outside and it was like thumping bass. But that's more of a town ordinance thing because like I think most towns have like a 10 o'clock audio thing or 11 o'clock thing. But yeah, it never bothers me because I just
kind of a Karen move, to be honest.
It is. You got a problem? I'll call the cops on you too.
No, just saying. That's all.
But usually, like for me, like I just turn up my volume louder. Like if I hear somebody's volume going, I'll just turn up mine.
You just fight fire with fire.
Kinda.
Well, that won't work in this case. If you're waking up my kids, well, I'm gonna wake them up even louder.
I'm gonna put a subwoofer on their chest. But I don't know. Like you've lived with people, you've stayed with people. We've lived with family before. I've never had like. It sounds like it's either it's a black or white thing. Either the Howard is very sensitive and like just doesn't like these people and just wants them out of there for some reason, or the father-in-law just doesn't care about his surroundings.
Yeah, that's the tricky thing, I think, with this case, which is sometimes true of a lot of our cases, but it feels more so here that it feels like a lot is resting on just whether or not whose side you believe, really.
Right.
Do we think the music is actually so loud? And if you're taking the case at face value, if the TV or whatever is loud enough that the kids are being woken up,
right,
and the parents-in-law are not agreeing to lower the volume,
right,
then my inclination is to say that they're at fault.
Now, and I don't know how long they've stayed there, but like, is it like the kids are being woken up every night? Or is it like, they were woken up once and that like put a thing in his brain where he's like, nope, you woke up my kids once and you're done,
Yeah.
It's a rough situation because like, you kind of have to make peace with both of it. So it's like, is he at fault like for blocking the content?
Well,
or is that like, it seems childish to me in a way.
Okay, let's look at it this way. Let's assume everything is true and the volume is too loud and all that.
Right.
Does that justify the parental block? Would you, if this was you in this situation, or if this happened to me and I said, yeah, I did this, would you feel like that was justified or?
I would ask you first, like, did you try to mediate the situation? Mm-hmm. Or did you just go, nope, piss me off too many times, no content for you? Because no, I mean, both of us, I'm more wild card than you are, but I would be like, hey, why don't you turn it down? No, don't turn it down. Okay, here, I bought these headphones for you. Why don't you put these earbuds in and try these? Nope, we're not going to do it. Okay, then maybe I would block the content. Or I'd be like, hey, we put this TV in your bedroom. Try this. Or
maybe, I don't know if the TV's mounted or something. I mean, they did say they have a speaker system. I was going to say maybe they moved the TV temporarily, but that could be not feasible.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But, and how long is it? Is it during the school year? Your kid's going to sleep, waking up in the middle of the night as a summer. Okay, fine. Not that big of a deal. But, if it's during the school year and the kids, or they have summer camp or whatever, maybe that's when you get the problem issue.
I gotta say, though, thinking about it, too, if it were me and I were staying at family's house,
right,
which I've done, I think regardless of volume, I don't think I'm going to watch their TV at 11 p.m.
No.
That feels I would be, I don't know what their schedule is. Maybe they're in bed or whatever, but at 11 p.m. it feels like I need to be retreating to whatever my space is, wherever my room or bed they've given me is,
right.
And I just want to be small and not make a fuss.
Because it feels like you're also, if you're just taking over the living room, it feels like you're encroaching on their TV time. If you invite me to stay, if I had to come to your house and stay over for a few nights for some reason, and you're like, here's your bedroom, when you went to bed, I would probably go to bed with you.
Right. Being in the living room, hanging out when everyone else is not.
Right.
And I guess it's this is our daughter's home, so they feel that they have a little more.
But still,
right,
so my parents live in Florida. I go and stay with them. We go once a year or whatever to go visit. When they go to sleep, I go to my room. Yeah. Or if I'm in the living room, I'm on my phone.
Right.
And they do have a ranch-style house, so all the bedrooms, everything's on the same floor. So, I'm not using their living room when they're going to bed, even though, they're retired, they don't have to get up, but still, but I'm also the kind of person if I'm at your house and I'm spending the night, I'm not going to be grabbing the remote going, hey, I'm just going to put this on.
Right.
You're in control of your TV.
Yeah, and maybe this is also a generational difference where we have other things to entertain us at all times in our pockets.
Right.
But I mean, so do boomers at this point.
Yeah, they have the same thing.
But maybe they're just not. That's just not their thing. I don't know.
It's a weird situation where it's at first I was siding with the father and the grandparents because I'm oh yeah, he's coming home from a long day of work. He wants to unwind and chill and watch TV. But the more I'm talking myself into it, the more I'm siding with the parents, the father, Howard.
Yeah. Whoever the hell it is.
Because in my brain, Howard is being childish by just going, no TV for you. And we're not getting the side, we're not getting that he wants to kind of split ways. Okay, fine, watch TV in your room. Watch TV at a reasonable volume. Because, I don't even think, it doesn't seem like he's tried to bring it up. He's probably been you woke the kids up, in a fighting kind of way. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is tricky, and I think I'm ready to give a verdict, but I'm sort of caught in the middle here.
Ditto. So that's verdict.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think I've come to the belief that the mother and father-in-law are guilty of what they're doing.
Yes.
However, they're not the ones on trial today.
Mm-hmm.
So
Geeks are.
So the question is their guilt enough to justify what Howard did? So I think that, for me, taking him at his word, he attempted to make peace. It didn't work out. Maybe this is a little childish. It's kind of funny. But if they truly just won't listen, I mean, I don't think it's the smartest idea. It's probably going to just create more strife down the line.
Right.
It's certainly not going to solve any. It solves a problem temporarily, but it's also just going to lead to a bigger rift in their relationship. Most
Thanksgiving is definitely going to be problematic.
Yeah. So it's really like, but again, I'm trying to keep my vision narrowed here because maybe that's not the scope of this case.
Right.
Whether or not this creates a rift later on is Howard and his wife's problem. Based on what I'm seeing here, what's being presented to me, I think what he did was maybe a little justified. He probably could have gone about it a better way. I don't feel great about this, but I think I would give him a very soft not guilty. Like, I don't think he's guilty, but he's on thin ice. I almost want to just say like it's a mistrial because maybe they're both at fault. I can't decide, but I wanted to stick to my guns and just say one or the other, so I did.
My brain, because I'm not this person, but I am the person. Like I like media. I like watching things. I constantly need noise going at some time. It's probably some kind of psycho issue that's going on in my brain. It's the voices. They're very loud. I kind of do side with and it's not both the in-laws. It's just the father-in-law at this point. But like you said, if he, going off the information we have, tried to bring it up, there's clearly a communication going on because the father-in-law did say, why don't you put earphones in your children, so they can't, not earphones,
in your children.
In their mouth, earplugs, and, so they can't hear it. Because I also took that as a way, like, Howard said, oh, you woke up the kids. But he's probably also, like, annoying Howard as well. But the kids were like let me say you're annoying the kids because you care about the kids more than you do me. Oh, but you don't care. You're just going to put earplugs in the kids. So let's just,
use them as an excuse.
So it is, like, it almost is mistrial-y to me because it seems like two children going back and forth. But in this scenario, assuming that Howard, I don't know why I want to keep calling him Adam, Howard wants to keep peace, and these people are going to be out of the house shortly. I side with Howard. So Soft's not guilty.
Wow, all right, Howard, you got away with it this time.
But I do think,
yeah.
Good.
What do you think?
There is a better way. There's a better way because, like, okay, fine, he's putting a parental block on YouTube. They can just watch cable.
I think Howard should have some kind of a punishment here because, I think this is Judge Judy would make both sides do something, right?
Well, I have a decent punishment for this one. And
Okay.
It's good because it's going to make Howard have to spend some money.
Okay.
These people there's a rift going on between these two. So I think he should have to buy them each a Rift, an Oculus headset, so they can watch their selective things in their own world. There's headphones built into those, and, or there were. I don't know if there still are.
The Rift there are, which they don't make anymore.
Right. But it works for my joke, so,
Yeah.
And, he should have to put them in VR.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. I don't think they're going to like that, but that's a punishment for them, too, then.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, their punishment is that they have to watch everything in VR headsets at night. Yeah, all right. Maybe they'll love it. Maybe they'll be sick and they'll be vomiting every night, too.
Right. Or, they have to spend some of their money as the in-laws and just get a hotel.
If you really want to punish Howard, get him the Apple Vision Pro.
So they can stare at him with those weird eyes all the time.
That's right. And he'll be in debt from that.
It's cheaper than buying them a new home.
Yeah, if they were going to stay at a hotel, do you think they'd go to a Howard's Inn?
They already are.
They already are, in a way, aren't they?
It's a Howard Johnson, isn't it?
Isn't there Howard's Inn? Or is Howard's Inn a book or a play or something? I don't know.
Anyway,
what do I know things?
Yes, it is a Howard's Inn. We're
Great. Folks, let us know who Howard is and what he has, if you'd like. Or you can let us know what you think about this case, what your verdict would be. Which side do you lean towards? Because we're sort of split on this one a little bit in spite of our verdict ultimately. You can email us. Our email address is geeksontrial@gmail.com. And that's also where you can go to submit your own case. Maybe you've got a dispute that relates to the world of media, comic books, movies, music, stamp collecting, serial killing. You can submit that case to us. We'll settle it on the show. Again, that email address is geeksontrial@gmail.com, or you can use the form in our episode description.
And if you liked the conversation that we had today at the start of the show about, movie props and, different questions that we can answer, we're thinking about setting up a brand new video for our Patreon. That's over at patreon.com/geeksontrial, where we have a question of the month, which will be a random question to us, and the two of us will talk about that question, give you our answers, and it'll be entertaining, it'll be fun, it'll be informative, and you will know more about us, the judges that love to judge you. And once again, that's only if you support us over at patreon.com/geeksontrial.
Yeah, where you can also go to get the episodes early. So
That's right.
Check all that out. We're always thinking about new content we can push over there to make people happy.
Yep. Or not happy.
Yeah.
Just give us your money.
Either way, whatever works. We appreciate your listenership and your viewership. If you want more of us, hey, you can follow me over on Threads at Jonathan Estes. Also, I've got a newsletter that you can sign up for on Substack. That's at jonathanjots.substack.com. Just put up a couple stories about some Batman board games I played lately. My little reviews of two board games. If you want to check that out.
And I noticed you did a review over on Threads as well.
That's right, a mini review of
Mini
Disney
review
World
on
Comment.
Threads. So you are using that brand new Threads account to its full advantage.
I had a thought in my head, and I was like, why should I just have this opinion for me and the people I speak to in real life? I should shoot it out at the internet.
It's 2023. Keep nothing to yourself.
That's right. Opinions got to be heard.
Speaking of, you can follow me. I'm Ivan Hahn on all of the platforms, or Ivan Arhan, depending on if you want to type in that extra letter.
So not all of them.
Some of them. Yeah, it's fine. There'll be somebody. And I make snack reviews, and I have a new one coming out where I review Twizzlers. That'll be coming out over on The Snack Guy. It's youtube.com/The Snack Guy. No @. needed in my name.
I'm a Twizzler fan.
Yeah, I kind of want to do a video where I do red vines versus Twizzlers, where I just take the red vines and throw them out.
Yeah, we don't cotton to red vines around these parts.
I walked into a store the other day, and they had red vines next to the Twizzlers, and I left the store.
Unless you're having Mr. Pibb and red vines.
Is that a thing?
Because that equals crazy delicious. It's from the Lonely Island's Lazy Sunday song. It was a big hit back in 2004.
Oh.
Yeah.
But until next time, I'm Ivan Hahn.
I'm Jonathan Estes. And then do I say it?
Yeah,
and
go
this
ahead.
has been Geeks on Trial.